Sometimes the biggest risks come disguised as safety nets. Cameron Brooks clutched his phone as he stepped off the plane at Portland International Airport, his stomach churning with equal parts excitement and terror. At 22, with a fresh Boston University degree and his first real job waiting at Nike's tech division, this move should have felt like triumph. Instead, it felt like stepping into the unknown. The familiar voice calling his name across the arrivals gate belonged to Marcus Rivera, a man Cameron remembered only in fragments from childhood, barbecues, and family photos. But the figure approaching him was nothing like those faded memories. Marcus moved with the confident stride of someone who had earned his place in the world. At 45, his salt and pepper hair caught the airport's fluorescent lights, and his weathered hands spoke of both military discipline and years of careful self-maintenance. "You're not the scrawny kid I remember," Marcus said, his smile genuine but guarded. There was something in his voice that made Cameron's chest tighten unexpectedly. The drive through Portland's rain-soaked streets felt like entering a different universe. Marcus pointed out landmarks with the casual expertise of someone who had chosen this city deliberately. The Pearl District's converted warehouses and food truck clusters painted a picture of creative reinvention that Cameron found both thrilling and intimidating. Marcus's condo reflected the same careful curation as its owner. Minimalist furniture, expensive but understated, a trading setup with multiple monitors dominated one corner, while floor-to-ceiling windows offered views of the Willamette River and Mount Hood's distant peak. Everything felt deliberately chosen, deliberately controlled. "Your room's upstairs," Marcus said, hefting Cameron's suitcase with ease. "I work early, so the morning's usually quiet until about 6. Coffee's in the kitchen whenever you want it." As Cameron unpacked in the pristine guest room, he caught glimpses of Marcus through the doorway. The older man moved through his space with practiced efficiency, checking market reports, adjusting the thermostat, organizing papers with military precision. There was something almost reverent about the way Marcus cared for his environment, as if every small ritual mattered deeply. That night over dinner, Marcus talked about his routine with the devotion of someone describing a religion: 5 a.m. gym sessions, trading until 4, meal prep on Sundays. He made it sound both exhausting and essential. "Structure keeps me grounded," Marcus explained, stirring his coffee with clockwork precision. "The market's chaos. Everything else needs to be steady." Cameron nodded, but something in Marcus's tone suggested this wasn't just about professional success. It felt like a man describing walls built to protect something fragile inside. The conversation drifted to Cameron's father, their shared military service in Afghanistan. Marcus's expression softened when he spoke about those days, but quickly hardened again when the topic shifted to present. "Your dad's proud of you," Marcus said quietly. "We all are." But Cameron caught something in those words, a weight that spoke to secrets and sacrifices he couldn't understand. As he settled into the unfamiliar bed that night, surrounded by Marcus's careful hospitality, Cameron wondered what stories lived beneath this meticulously ordered life. What he didn't know was that Marcus was lying awake below, staring at the ceiling and fighting the dangerous pull of attraction to his best friend's son. Some secrets, Marcus knew, were meant to stay buried, but proximity has a way of making even the deepest graves feel shallow. Ready to dive deeper into this story of hidden truths and unexpected connections? Hit that subscribe button for Heart Stories, where every silence holds a secret, waiting to change everything. The first weeks in Portland unfolded like a carefully choreographed dance between two people learning each other's rhythms. Cameron's days began with the distant sound of Marcus's gym bag hitting the front door at 5 a.m., followed by the gentle hum of the espresso machine an hour later. By the time Cameron emerged for breakfast, Marcus would already be deep in pre-market analysis, multiple screens glowing with charts. Nike's Beaverton campus overwhelmed Cameron with its corporate energy and Pacific Northwest innovation culture. His colleagues moved with casual confidence of people who designed the future in sneakers and hoodies. During lunch breaks, he found himself texting Marcus about small victories and anxieties, surprised by how naturally the older man had become his anchor. Evenings brought exploration. Marcus guided Cameron through Portland's eclectic neighborhoods with enthusiasm of someone rediscovering his city through fresh eyes. They wandered Powell's book's massive literary maze, sampled food truck clusters downtown, and hiked Forest Park's trails that stretched into misty infinity. Marcus shared stories about finding Portland after military service, how the city's embrace of individuality felt like permission to breathe. "I came here to disappear," Marcus admitted one evening, overlooking the Willamette River. "Turns out you can't really hide from yourself, but you can find places that make it easier to exist." Cameron posted photos from their adventures on Instagram, capturing Portland's quirky beauty and his growing comfort with West Coast living. He didn't notice Marcus saving those images, studying them later when the house fell quiet and loneliness crept back. Their domestic routine developed its own intimacy. Marcus taught Cameron family recipes from his Oaxacan grandmother, ingredients and techniques carrying stories of migration and adaptation. Cameron helped Marcus understand cryptocurrency trends, bridging generational gaps with patient explanations and teasing about technological blind spots. But underneath comfortable camaraderie, currents of unspoken tension flowed. Marcus would catch himself watching Cameron too closely, noting how the young man's confidence grew daily, how his laughter filled spaces silent too long. Cameron began noticing Marcus's careful distance, how conversations shifted when topics grew personal. Portland Trailblazers games provided neutral ground. Basketball became their shared language, loud enough to drown thoughts that felt dangerous. Marcus explained defensive strategies with military precision, while Cameron offered commentary on player personalities, their perspectives weaving together like complementary threads. During a video call with Boston friends, Cameron described his living situation in neutral terms. His roommates joked about his hot landlord, and Cameron laughed while feeling oddly protective of Marcus's privacy. He mentioned Portland's LGBTQ community centers casually, testing Marcus's reaction. The immediate subject change spoke volumes. Cameron discovered flyers for queer community center events on Marcus's counter, then watched them disappear by morning. When he mentioned QCC volunteer opportunities during dinner, Marcus grew uncomfortable, mumbling about busy schedules. Marcus's isolation became clearer through accumulated silences. His phone rarely rang with personal calls. Weekends passed without social plans beyond Cameron's company. Even military conversations carried undercurrents of loss beyond combat experiences. Cameron researched Portland's Latino LGBTQ community, learning about cultural intersections he'd never considered. The more he understood dual identity struggles, the more Marcus's distance made sense. This wasn't just about attraction. This was about survival mechanisms built over decades of hiding essential parts of himself. Understanding changed everything. Sometimes healing requires patience, not solutions. The laptop emergency struck on a Tuesday night when Cameron's presentation deadline collided with a dead battery and a computer that refused to respond to desperate button pushing. Nike's client proposal sat unfinished, mocking him from the black screen while precious hours ticked toward midnight submission. "Can I borrow yours?" Cameron asked Marcus across the breakfast counter, trying to keep panic from his voice. The older man hesitated for exactly 3 heartbeats too long, his coffee mug suspended halfway to his lips while something unreadable flickered behind his eyes. "Sure, just be careful with it," Marcus finally said, but his laugh carried nervous energy Cameron had never heard before. "There's some personal stuff on there." Marcus's laptop opened like a doorway into a carefully curated digital life. Clean desktop, organized folders, trading applications arranged with military precision. Cameron worked quickly, transferring his presentation files and fighting Nike's corporate formatting requirements while the clock counted down. But curiosity is a patient hunter, and deadline stress makes people careless about boundaries. When Cameron clicked the wrong folder, expecting to find temporary files, he instead discovered a directory labeled simply personal. His finger hovered over the trackpad for a moment before exhaustion made the decision for him. The folder contained dozens of saved images and video clips, all featuring young men with athletic builds and confident smiles. Dating app screenshots, Instagram photos, carefully curated collections that spoke of longing and loneliness. Cameron's heart hammered as recognition dawned slowly. Then all at once, his own face stared back from multiple saved images. Photos from hiking adventures at Multnomah Falls, shirtless mirror selfies from his Boston gym, candid shots he'd posted casually on social media. Seeing himself through Marcus's eyes felt like discovering a secret language written in pixels. But the deeper Cameron looked, the more complex the picture became. Draft profiles on dating apps never activated. Email drafts to LGBTQ support groups never sent. Voice memos where Marcus practiced coming out speeches to audiences that would never hear them. This wasn't just attraction. This was decades of suppressed identity archived in digital hiding places. Cameron found research articles about Latino LGBTQ mental health, screenshots of Portland Pride event schedules, browsing history that painted a picture of someone desperately seeking community while remaining too terrified to reach for it. The man who appeared so controlled in daily life had created a hidden world where his authentic self could exist safely behind password protection. The weight of discovery sat heavy in Cameron's chest as he closed the laptop and finished his presentation in guilty silence. Marcus had trusted him with access to his most private space, and Cameron had violated that trust through accident and choice. But understanding had arrived with the violation, bringing insight that changed everything. The next morning's breakfast carried new undercurrents of awareness. Marcus moved through his routines with the same precision, but Cameron now recognized the performance quality of normalcy. Every carefully neutral comment carried the weight of decades spent hiding essential truths. Cameron found himself researching Portland's Latino LGBTQ community during Nike lunch breaks, learning about intersection of cultural identity and sexual orientation he'd never considered. The statistics painted stark pictures of family rejection, religious trauma, and survival mechanisms developed over generations. Marcus Rivera wasn't just a successful trader living alone by choice. He was a man caught between worlds, carrying dual burdens that often demanded choosing sides. His distance from community involvement made sense when viewed through this lens of survival. Sometimes the most generous act is witnessing struggle without demanding explanation. The collision between discovery and reality happened on a Thursday evening when exhaustion from Nike's demanding project timeline sent Cameron home early. He expected to find Marcus deep in afternoon trading routines, surrounded by familiar monitor glows and market data. Instead, he found silence broken only by soft movement from the kitchen. Cameron set down his laptop bag quietly, assuming Marcus was preparing his usual post-market protein shake. But as he moved through the hallway, something about the rhythmic quality of sound made him pause. Through the partially open kitchen door, he glimpsed skin and movement that sent his heart racing. Marcus stood facing the counter, completely unaware of Cameron's presence, lost in a moment of private vulnerability. His phone screen cast blue light across his chest while his hand moved with desperate purpose. Cameron's paralysis lasted exactly long enough to recognize his own Instagram photo glowing on Marcus's device before horror and understanding crashed together. The sharp intake of Cameron's breath cut through the kitchen's quiet like a gunshot. Marcus spun around with military reflexes, eyes wide with shock and something approaching terror. For a heartbeat, neither moved. Then Marcus grabbed frantically for the dish towel hanging nearby, his face cycling through expressions of mortification and panic. "Cameron, I'm sorry. I didn't know you were home," Marcus managed, his voice cracking. The older man's composure crumbled entirely, leaving behind someone raw and exposed in ways that went beyond physical nakedness. "I'm sorry, I should have knocked," Cameron stammered, backing away while his mind tried to process what he'd witnessed. The laptop discovery had been abstract. This was immediate and human and impossible to ignore. That night, both men lay awake in separate rooms, separated by ceiling and floor, but connected by shared mortification. Cameron stared at darkness and tried to unknow what he now understood about Marcus's solitary desires. Marcus downstairs probably wished he could disappear rather than face another breakfast. Morning arrived with the weight of elephants in every room. They moved around each other like careful dancers, each gesture calculated to avoid acknowledging the previous evening's collision. Marcus's coffee ritual became elaborate performance while Cameron studied his phone with unusual intensity. Nike's team dinner invitation arrived like a lifeline disguised as social torture. Cameron's colleagues had been asking about his living situation, making jokes about his bachelor pad roommate with curiosity that felt inappropriate. The dinner became exercise in careful performance. Cameron introduced Marcus as a family friend with a military history, watching his colleagues' assumptions play out. Marcus handled questions with professional charm, deflecting personal inquiries with stories about trading strategies in Portland's restaurant scene. But Cameron watched Marcus's face when his coworker Danny made casual comments about confirmed bachelors and guys who haven't found the right woman yet. He saw micro-expressions of pain when conversation turned to weekend dating plans and relationship advice. The drive home passed in loaded silence until Marcus finally spoke near their neighborhood exit. "I've been thinking you should probably find your own place soon," he said quietly. This arrangement was always meant to be temporary. They sat in Marcus's living room like strangers, coffee growing cold while words hung unspoken. Marcus finally broke first, his composure cracking open to reveal decades of buried truth. "I'm gay," he said simply. "I've never told anyone that before. Not your father, not my family, not anyone who matters. And I've been attracted to you since the day you arrived, which makes me exactly the kind of person your parents trusted not to be." The confession arrived without drama or tears, just quiet devastation of someone finally admitting a truth that had been eating him alive. Recognition requires courage to name what we see, even when naming changes everything. The conversation that changed everything happened 3 nights later, when Cameron found Marcus sitting at his kitchen table with a glass of whiskey and an expression that spoke of decisions made in sleepless nights. "I called the QCC today," Marcus said without preamble. "The Queer Community Center. I have an intake appointment next Tuesday for their veteran support group." Cameron set down his laptop bag and took the chair across from Marcus. Noting the tremor in the older man's hands as he lifted his glass, "I've been thinking about what you said, about watching someone struggle," Marcus continued. "And I realized I've been struggling for so long that I forgot struggling wasn't supposed to be permanent." The apartment search had been perfunctory. Cameron found a place near Nike's campus within a week, but moving day felt less like independence and more like abandoning someone who had finally found courage to stop hiding. The guilt weighed heavy, but Marcus had other plans. "I want you to come with me," Marcus said the morning of Cameron's move. "To Pride. Portland Pride is next month, and I think if I'm going to step outside my comfort zone, I'd rather do it with someone who understands." Pride preparation became an unexpected bonding experience. They shopped for rainbow gear at Powell's Books and browsed QCC's resource tables at Saturday Market. Marcus moved through these experiences like someone learning to walk after years of paralysis, each step requiring tremendous courage. Cameron watched Marcus interact with other veterans at the support group, witnessing the older man's gradual realization that his story wasn't unique or shameful. Latino LGBTQ veterans shared experiences of dual identity struggles, family rejection, and the work of building chosen families from scratch. The morning of Pride Portland dawned clear and bright, Mount Hood visible in the distance like a blessing. Cameron picked up Marcus early, finding the older man dressed in rainbow colors that looked foreign but hopeful. Tom McCall Waterfront Park exploded with color and joy, thousands of people celebrating identities that Marcus had spent decades hiding. Cameron stayed close as Marcus took in the overwhelming spectacle of visibility and acceptance, watching decades of isolation crack open in the face of community. At the QCC booth, Marcus met Maria Santos, a 50-year-old Latina veteran who had come out 5 years earlier after military retirement. She handed Marcus a pamphlet about LGBTQ veteran support services and said simply, "It gets easier when you stop fighting alone." That afternoon, as they sat on Cameron's new apartment steps sharing takeout, Marcus looked different, not cured or transformed, but lighter somehow, like he had finally received permission to exist without apology. "I'm starting therapy next week," Marcus said. and I joined a hiking group for LGBTQ folks over 40. Apparently, there are dozens of us old gay men who like mountains. Cameron smiled at the easy way Marcus said gay men, like the word had lost its power to wound him. 6 months later, Cameron received a text photo from Marcus. It showed Marcus standing with his hiking group at Mount Adams summit, rainbow flag draped across his shoulders, surrounded by a chosen family of middle-aged LGBTQ outdoor enthusiasts who had found each other late but on time. The accompanying message read simply, "Thank you for seeing me before I could see myself." Cameron smiled, understanding finally that love sometimes means teaching someone they deserve more than survival. True healing happens when we stop hiding essential parts of ourselves and start building communities around authenticity rather than fear. Have you ever helped someone find courage to step into their authentic self? Share your story below. Subscribe to Heart Stories for tales of chosen family and transformative power of being truly seen.